How are we doing, one and all? Me? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Who likes a beard? Raise your hand if you like a beard. I like a beard. Do you like a beard? You know how I like to inspire? I've put together a list of 10 male celebrities that go from looking pretty good, clean shaven, to looking like absolute gods as soon as they grow some facial hair. Number 1, Chris Evans, Mr. Captain America himself. Now, Chris is obviously a good looking dude with fantastic bone structure. But for me, when he's clean shaven, he looks just that little bit too polished, that little bit too refined. You throw on some facial hair and he goes from looking like an athlete that you could see anywhere to a ruggedly handsome Hollywood actor. I think the changing point was when he did the recent Avengers film, not the last one, but the one before that, and he had the hair slicked back and he had the full beard with it. And I just thought that was such a slick, stylish look that I just don't think it can be denied that Chris looks better with a beard. Number 2, Steve Carell. Let's be honest, at the age of 57, Steve Carell has finally grown into his looks. It's fair to say that Steve is easily one of the most likeable actors in Hollywood. But if you look at the parts that he was getting, and I'm thinking of, say, The 40-Year-Old Virgin or Crazy Stupid Love, Steve was always cast as that kind of lovable loser that life's not quite going well for. Recently, I saw him at the premiere for his recent film Beautiful Boy, and he'd let his hair go grey, and he'd grown out a little bit of a beard as well. For me, the difference was just huge. And he just suddenly went from looking like that awkward guy to suddenly looking like this silver fox that most women would be extremely attracted to. And just looking at the pictures now, the difference facial hair has made for Steve is absolutely huge. Number 3, Alison Becker, the Liverpool and Brazil goalkeeper. I thought I'd throw in a little bit more of an abstract one. Before you get any major sporting tournament, you always get the kind of pre-discussions amongst women as to who the attractive sportsmen are that they'll be able to see. And whenever it comes to football, you'll always tend to see the same names coming up. Cristiano Ronaldo, Aaron Ramsey, Neymar. For me, they're all very boyish looking guys. So it was interesting last year to see there was a lot of kind of talk under the radar about the attractiveness of the Brazil goalkeeper, Alison Becker. And I look at Alison Becker's style, and for me, it is perfectly suited to current men's fashion. Because I think the full beard that he sports combined with the slightly dishevelled hair is just a really, really strong look that looks absolutely on point with fashion at this current time. Number 4, Adam Levine. Unfortunately, I'd argue now that Adam has probably taken facial hair just that little bit too far. But if you flash back to the younger days of Maroon 5, I think when Adam was clean shaven, he looked a little bit gawky and almost like he needed to add something to his face to kind of grow into his looks. Round about 2012 and round about 2013, when Adam started to sport a light beard and some stubble, he was named People Magazine's sexiest man alive, so there's definitely some correlation there. If you flash back to 2015, 2016, when Adam sported kind of like a messy quiff and a light beard, that was when I think he really, really looked his best. And if any of you can remember the Maroon 5 video Sugar, where him and his band crashed people's weddings and performed, I think you'll see Adam's strongest look, and one that I think he should definitely go back to. Number 5, Keanu Reeves. Now, obviously, Keanu is considered to be one of the nicest men in Hollywood when you look at all the work that he does for the homeless and all the work that he does for charity. But it's interesting for me because Keanu is obviously very handsome, but he's very handsome in a distinctive way. I suppose essentially because he's got a very long face and relatively deep set eyes. So I think by having facial hair or some kind of degree of beard or stubble, I think it kind of really brings the most out of Keanu's distinctive features and kind of aids to that very unique look that he's got going on. Number 6, Dev Patel. For me, this one is absolutely fascinating. Being British, I can remember Dev making his TV debut in the show Skins. And back then, you never would have imagined that he would turn into what he looks like now. Recently, I watched the film Lion, which is, of course, absolutely fantastic. And obviously in that, Dev sported longish, wavy hair combined with a thick beard. And I think when your hair has the texture and the thickness that Dev's has, you have to wear it long. But if you combine that with the beard that he sported, it is a really, really strong, distinctive look. And I just think when you look at Dev as a young boy versus what he looks like now, it's a transformation you never would have expected him to make. Number 7, Joe Manganiello. Obviously Joe is a good looking guy, and obviously Joe is a very tall, well built guy as well. But I think for me, he's one of those men that just perfectly suits longer hair and perfectly suits a beard, because it really brings out that masculine, rugged look that he's got. I think when he's clean shaven, obviously due to his bone structure, he still looks good, but when he has the facial hair and he has the beard, it really takes his look up another level. Number 8, Joel Dommett, the British comedian. This again is another really interesting transformation. If you look at Joel in his younger days, he looks shy, he looks nerdy, he looks, to be honest, like the kind of guy that a woman would never really look at. You flash forward now where he's got the shorter haircut combined with the messy beard, and it's a really, really strong transformation again. And I think what I like about Joel's beard is the way that he blends it in really well with his hair. And I think that that is just a timeless, classic, strong look, which really can take any man's attractiveness up another level. Number 9, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. For me, Jeffrey is just a really, really good example of a man aging gracefully. And I think if you were to ask the average person how old Jeffrey looks, I almost think because his style is so timeless, I think it would be really, really hard to age him. I've seen photos of Jeffrey clean shaven and it just looks a little bit like something's missing. So I think when he has the facial hair, and in particular when he has the full beard, he looks like the kind of man that could come round, mend your kitchen, and then just look really stylish as he's doing it. Lastly, Jake Gyllenhaal. Who here's seen the film Donnie Darko? Yeah, you never would have thought he would have turned into what he's turned into now if you've just seen that. The interesting thing about Jake is that, for me, he's kind of undergone a style transformation under the radar without people realising. In the 2013 film Prisoners, he rocked a shaved undercut, and that for me was the beginnings of when he really began to transform. But I think in recent times, when he's sported the full beard combined with the slick back hair, he's actually gone from slightly awkward, slightly distinctive looking guy to, for me, what can only be described as a style icon. And it's interesting because I think women have obviously always found Jake attractive, but his new look now I think is just unrivaled. And I actually think in the same way that people look back now and they talk about Paul Newman and James Dean as style icons, I think we're going to be doing the same thing for Jake Gyllenhaal, just because if you want to see an example of a man nailing his look, I think you can't really look any further than Jake Gyllenhaal. Lastly, thank you very, very much for watching this video. And if you finished it, please could I ask you just to hit the like button down below. If you loved the video, please could I ask you to hit subscribe, because this is the type of content that I'm going to focus a lot on across my channel.